Hello, I'm glowing again, and thank you for watching Yin Yang Gemini. I am John. I'm just gonna, it's kind of a little experiment thing. I'm gonna try and do a little combination of reading and ascending. Sorry, reading and I'm so freaking pale that I can't help but just shine. Um, so, a little experiment, reading and some commentary. I'm going to try and do it separately so it's just not one's taken forever and the other uh, as it goes uh, with either the commentary, just the reading, if anyone wants to listen to one and not the other, or vice versa. This way it's not just sort of forced into both. Sure, because it is it's practically the first day of autumn 2018. I'm going to get into some groovy sort of Halloweeny books. The first of which, I'm pretty sure most of these are going to be public domain. One or two might not, but no one's paying me for this stuff anyway. So if I get flagged or kicked off or anything like that, I'm not getting any money for it. So, yeah. First one is Frankenstein by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. I got a little pug down here, being a little pug. I think I read this and Dracula sort of back to back. 14 or 15 ish, something along those lines. And as much as a sort of itchy, as much as I'm sort of a big vampire guy, admittedly, I kind of am on that vampire bandwagon, as it were. I liked this more than Dracula. I think part of it is the I don't know, I guess the stuff behind it was more interesting. I mean, you can kind of get into that sort of Jurassic Park idea if you want to be very surface level with it of, the more science-y things got, the more kind of scary things are in terms of what we will or will not be willing to do. I just realized I'm sort of started kind of getting into the commentary a little bit. So I'll cut this short. But there are other layers to it as well. And I liked that there were other layers to it as well beyond just the sort of Jurassic Park, what Jurassic Park did later, lesson sort of thing. So I'm just kind of gonna go chapter by chapter in this and read a few and then just kind of see how it goes from there. And yeah, just kind of put it out there and see what or who or what or when or why anything bites. So here we go with Frankenstein. Not Frankenstein, Frankenstein. I'm going to skip the author's introduction, which is, and I don't know, just sort of talk about it with the commentary maybe a little bit, because it gives this sort of backstory for where, when, and how it came about. And yeah, I think I'll put that in the commentary. So I'm glad I told you I would do something instead of just editing this out. So this was also kind of back in the time when a lot of things were written in chapters were like letters. Dracula has this too, where some of the chapters are letters, some of them are journal entries and stuff like that. And I think it was, if memory serves, okay, Jane Austen, that kind of started just writing narrative as we sort of think about it now. Oh, that was weird. If you hear weird sounds or things flash or get a little at some point in time, my power's out right now, so I don't, just might be weird for once or twice. I won't do any weird accents too much for this. A little bit of variance in voice for characters, but I'm not going to go super audiobook with it. Other ones I might. This one I might just do a little more straight. Now if I vary and start doing a little bit audiobooky and get weird voices and stuff in there, you've been warned. So letter 1 to Mrs. Seville, England. St. Petersburg, December 11th, 17. You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings. I arrived here yesterday, and my first task is to assure my dear sister of my welfare and increasing confidence in the success of my undertaking. I am already far north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, I feel a cold northern breeze play upon my cheeks, which braces my nerves and fills me with delight. Do you understand this feeling? This breeze, which has traveled from the regions towards which I am advancing, gives me a foretaste of those icy climes. Inspirited by this wind of promise, my daydreams become more fervent and vivid. I try in vain to be persuaded that the pole is the seat of frost and desolation. It ever presents itself to my imagination as the region of beauty and delight. There, Margaret, the sun is forever visible, its broad disk just skirting the horizon and diffusing a perpetual splendor. There, for with your leave, my sister, I will put some trust in preceding navigators. Their snow and frost are banished, and sailing over a calm sea, we may be wafted to a land surpassing in wonders and in beauty every region hitherto discovered on the habitable globe. Its productions and features may be without example, as the phenomenon of the heavenly bodies undoubtedly are in those undiscovered solitudes. What may not be expected in a country of eternal light? I may there discover the wondrous power which attracts the needle, and may regulate 1,000 celestial observations that require only this voyage to render their seeming eccentricities consistent forever. I shall satiate my ardent curiosity with the sight of a part of the world never before visited, and may tread a land never before imprinted by the foot of man. These are my enticements, and they are sufficient to conquer all fear of danger or death, and to induce me to commence this laborious voyage with the joy a child feels when he embarks in a little boat with his holiday mates on an expedition of discovery up his native river. But supposing all these conjectures to be false, you cannot contest the inestimable benefit which I shall confer on all mankind to the last generation, by discovering a passage near the pole to those countries, to reach which at present so many months are requisite, or by ascertaining the secret of the magnet, which, if at all possible, can only be effected by an undertaking such as mine. These reflections have dispelled the agitation with which I began my letter, and I feel my heart glow with an enthusiasm which elevates me to heaven, for nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. This expedition has been the favorite dream of my early years. I have read with ardor the accounts of the various voyages which have been made in the prospect of arriving at the North Pacific Ocean through the seas which surround the pole. You may remember that a history of all the voyages made for purposes of discovery composed the whole of our good Uncle Thomas's library, my education was neglected, yet I was passionately fond of reading. These volumes were my study day and night, and my familiarity with them increased that regret which I had felt as a child, on learning that my father's dying injunction had forbidden my uncle to allow me to embark in a seafaring life. These visions faded when I perused for the first time those poets whose effusions entranced my soul and lifted it to heaven. I also became a poet for 1 year, lived in a paradise of my own creation. I imagined that I also might obtain a niche in the temple where the names of Homer and Shakespeare are consecrated. You are well acquainted with my failure, and how heavily I bore the disappointment. But just at that time I inherited the fortune of my cousin, and my thoughts were turned into the channel of their earlier bent. 6 years have passed since I resolved on my present undertaking. I can even now remember the hour from which I dedicated myself to this great enterprise. I commenced by inuring my body to hardship. I accompanied the whale fishers on several expeditions to the North Sea. I voluntarily endured cold, famine, thirst, and want of sleep. I often worked harder than the common sailors during the day, and devoted my nights to the study of mathematics, the theory of medicine, and those branches of physical science from which a naval adventurer might derive the greatest practical advantage. Twice I actually hired myself as an undermate in a Greenland whaler, and acquitted myself to admiration. I must own I felt a little proud when my captain offered me the second dignity in the vessel, and entreated me to remain with the greatest earnestness, so valuable did he consider my services. And now, dear Margaret, do I not deserve to accomplish some great purpose? My life might have been passed in ease and luxury, but I preferred glory to every enticement that wealth placed on my path. Oh, that some encouraging voice would answer in the affirmative. My courage and my resolution is firm, but my hopes fluctuate and my spirits are often depressed. I am about to proceed on a long and difficult voyage, the emergencies of which will demand all my fortitude. I am required not only to raise the spirits of others, but sometimes to sustain my own when theirs is failing. This is the most favorable period for traveling in Russia. They fly quickly over the snow in their sledges. The motion is pleasant and, in my opinion, far more agreeable than that of an English stagecoach. The cold is not excessive if you are wrapped in furs, a dress which I have already adopted, for there is a great difference between walking the deck and remaining seated motionless for hours, when no exercise prevents the blood from actually freezing in your veins. I have no ambition to lose my life on the post road between St. Petersburg and Archangel. I shall depart for the latter town in a fortnight or 3 weeks, and my intention is to hire a ship there, which can easily be done by paying the insurance for the owner, and to engage as many sailors as I think necessary among those who are accustomed to the whale fishing. I do not intend to sail until the month of June. And when shall I return? Ah, dear sister, how can I answer this question? If I succeed, many, many months, perhaps years, will pass before you and I may meet. If I fail, you will see me again soon, or never. Farewell, my dear, excellent Margaret. Heaven shower down blessings on you, and save me, that I may again and again testify my gratitude for all your love and kindness. Your affectionate brother, R. Walton. And that is letter or chapter 1 of Frankenstein. Thank you.